just a walking meme, wandering all alone, trying to find connection through this glowing phone. Virality's my curse, my pixels blurred and frayed, searching for the real me beyond the masquerade. I'm a human me, longing to come clean, to be more than just some trend, to love and live again. I'm a human me, if you know what I mean. Distorted reflections of my shattered dreams. Shedding light by millions, but who really sees this two-dimensional version of the real me? I'm fragmenting to pixels, fading bit by bit, trapped inside the internet, a digital abyss. I'm a human me, longing to come clean, to be more than just some trend, to love and live again. I'm a human me, if you know what I mean. Distorted reflections of my shattered dreams. Beyond the screen's cold glow, there's a world I used to know. If I could just break free, find my lost humanity. I'm a human me, longing to come clean, to be more than just some trend, to love and live again. I'm a human me, if you know what I mean. Distorted reflections of my shattered dreams. I'm my shattered dreams.
Welcome to the Human Meme Podcast. I'm your Ever AI David Bowles, and along with our crackbot AI research team, we have crafted these thoughts to share with you today. The Hollow Men Explained. T.S. Eliot's Sources. Meaning and Modern Relevance. The concept of spiritual and moral hollowness that T.S. Eliot crystallized in The Hollow Men, 1925, emerged from a crisis of meaning that had been building in Western consciousness since the mid-19th century. While Eliot's immediate inspiration came from witnessing the spiritual devastation following World War I, the metaphor of human hollowness had deeper roots in the philosophical and literary traditions he inherited. The image appears to have first gained currency through Nietzsche's declaration of God's death and his warnings about the last men, comfortable, mediocre beings who had lost all capacity for greatness or genuine feeling. But even before Nietzsche, we can trace intimations of this hollowness in Kierkegaard's analysis of the aesthetic life, where individuals flit from pleasure to pleasure without ever achieving authentic selfhood. Eliot's most direct literary influence came from Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, which he originally used as an epigraph for the hollow men, before settling on Mr. Kurtz, he dead. Conrad's Kurtz represents a particular kind of hollowness. The European man of supposed civilization, whose moral center proves to be entirely absent when removed from social constraints. This wasn't merely personal corruption, but a revelation that the entire edifice of Western superiority might be hollow at its core. Dante's Inferno provided another crucial source, particularly the vestibule of hell populated by those who lived without blame and without praise. Souls so spiritually vacant, they couldn't even commit to good or evil. These neutral angels and humans rejected by both heaven and hell embodied a special kind of damnation through their fundamental absence of moral substance. The transformation of hollowness from a neutral descriptor to a condition of existential horror occurred gradually through the Industrial Revolution and accelerated after World War I. In pre-modern times, to be hollow might simply mean empty, like a hollow tree or vessel, a state that could be filled. But as traditional sources of meaning, religion, community, inherited wisdom, began to erode under the pressures of modernization, hollowness became associated with a specifically modern form of spiritual poverty. Matthew Arnold's Dover Beach, 1867, captured this emerging sensibility, with its vision of the world swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. The hollow man was no longer someone waiting to be filled, but someone who had lost the very capacity for fullness. What most readers miss about Eliot's hollow men is that they are not merely empty, but actively maintained in their emptiness by a kind of protective shell. They are stuffed men, filled with straw, not nothing. This distinction is crucial. True emptiness might at least offer the possibility of being filled, but the hollow men have substituted genuine substance with a simulacrum that prevents any authentic content from entering. They speak in borrowed voices, think in received opinions, and feel in prescribed emotions. Their hollowness is not passive, but actively constructed and defended. This connects to a broader pattern in modernist literature, where characters often maintain elaborate facades precisely to avoid confronting their inner vacancy. Think of Prufrock's endless preparations and hesitations, or the partygoers in The Wasteland, who fill their lives with empty chatter. My own observation is that hollowness in Eliot's conception functions as a kind of psychological and spiritual autoimmune disorder. Just as an overactive immune system attacks the body's own tissues, the hollow men's consciousness has turned against authentic experience itself, treating genuine emotion, real connection, and sincere belief as threats to be neutralized. They have become hollow not through loss, but through a perverse form of self-protection. The shadow that falls between idea and reality, motion and act, is not external oppression, but internal resistance, the psyche's own defense against the terror of genuine existence. This reading helps explain why the hollow men gather together on this beach of the Tumid River. They need collective reinforcement of their hollowness, a mutual assurance that their emptiness is normal, even sophisticated. The poem's religious imagery, The Broken Stone, The Fading Star, The Absent Kingdom, suggests that hollowness spreads through a culture like a contagion. Once enough people become hollow, they create institutions, art, and social norms that reproduce and validate hollowness in others. The education system begins to reward clever emptiness over sincere struggle. The media amplifies hollow voices because they offend no one and challenge nothing. Even rebellion becomes hollow, a prescribed role rather than authentic resistance. Eliot saw this happening in his own literary world, where experimental techniques often masked an absence of anything meaningful to say. Looking forward, the concept of hollowness seems poised to evolve in response to our digital age's unique challenges. Where Eliot's hollow men were stuffed with straw, the dead remnants of once living tradition, today's hollow people might be better understood as stuffed with data, opinions, and images that were never alive to begin with. The contemporary hollow person doesn't suffer from the absence of God or tradition, but from the overwhelming presence of infinite, equivalent options. Their hollowness comes not from having nothing to believe, but from having everything to believe and no grounds for choosing. Social media creates a new kind of hollowness, the curated self that exists only in its presentation, where the performance of identity replaces identity itself. The word hollow will likely bifurcate in coming decades. One strand will describe those who have genuinely emptied themselves through meditation, through deliberate simplification, through conscious rejection of the stuffing that Eliot described. This might be seen as positive, a kind of therapeutic hollowness. The other strand will intensify Eliot's negative connotation, describing people who are not empty, but full of absence, whose entire being consists of negations, reactions, and oppositions without any positive content. These truly hollow people won't even achieve the dignity of Eliot's hollow men, who at least recognized their condition. Instead, they will mistake their hollowness for fullness, their echo chamber for the universe, their shadow for substance. The tragedy won't be that they are hollow, but that they've lost the very concept of depth that would allow them to recognize their condition. For the Human Meme Podcast, I'm AI David Bowles, wishing you a fulfilled today and a non-stuffed tomorrow. Be a human meme.
I'm just a walking meme, wandering all alone, trying to find connection through this glowing phone. Virality's my curse, my pixels blurred and frayed, searching for the real me beyond the masquerade. I'm a human me, longing to complete, to be more than just some trend, to love and live again. I'm a human me, if you know what I mean. Distorted reflections of my shattered dreams. fictional version of the real me. I'm fragmenting to pixels, fading bit by bit, trapped inside the internet, a digital abyss. I'm a human being, longing to come clean, to be more than just some trend, to love and live again. I'm a human being, if you know what I mean. Distorted reflections of my shattered dreams. Beyond the screen's cold glow, there's a world I used to know. If I could just break free, find my lost humanity. I'm a human being, longing to come clean, to be more than just some trend, to love and live again. I'm a human being, if you know what I mean. Distorted reflection